Uniformation contacted me to see if I was willing to paint a project using their GK3 Pro. I figured, why not? As I'm always interested to see how the 3D printer space has evolved, and I was waiting for replacement parts on my Cassatrio model kit, so now is the perfect time. The GK3 is a sleek design with a front window that has a gap which leads to VOCs from resin escaping very easily, so make sure you have a well ventilated room. It features the same build plate as a GK2, which is still one of the best build plates I've ever used in 3D printing. It also has a pump feed resin system. Now honestly, I thought I'd hate this and I would never use it because most of these feed systems suck, but this one's actually the best one I've ever used. It's the least messy one to deal with, and cleaning is fairly simple. The only problem is you'd have to leave the resin bottle in the printer, otherwise it will leak. I found this out the hard way. Thankfully, I had it in a Ziploc bag. Other key points of this resin printer, the built-in drip tray. More companies need to do this. A side latch system for the vat. It's quick and easy to use. The GK3 also comes with the CPFA. It's basically a new version of ACF that's supposedly stronger. Remember this, as it will become relevant later. It's one of the few printers on the market that uses a 385 nanometer light source. The standard is 405. I just learned this recently. That's why Uniformation sent me nothing but clear resins to print with. 385 nanometer light is great for penetrating and curing resin, making it ideal for clear resins in particular. This may be a huge factor for those looking for a 385 nanometer resin printer in the market for consumers. But for a normal guy like me that paints everything, it's kind of useless, except on very rare occasions. And I think many in the hobbyist printer space would feel the same. Oh, and this version of the GK3 comes with a ball screw as standard. But this isn't a review, it's a build video. I finally found time to do the 1/35th scale Nu Gundam head, and not knowing that it was a 385 nanometer light source printer, I overexposed all of my prints, while in a rush to finish this project as soon as possible, creating more work for myself. Instead of reprinting everything, I felt it would be better to just go ahead with what I have and clean up any excess resin and fitment issues, as most people tend to do when working with resin. Cleanup work on a print is unavoidable unless you cut corners and you don't feel like cleaning up at all, or you can get away with it with some really well-placed supports. But in my case, when you make mistakes like these, you tend to have very prolonged periods of sanding. So let's just get to it. Unfortunately, while using this resin printer, there were some failures, unexpectedly. The issue here is the ACF film doesn't seem that strong, in my opinion. It took a lot of damage after 10 prints. There was nothing hanging out in the vat, but for some reason it was just really screwed up. This is why many people who 3D print don't use ACF films. They use a clear PFA, but what can you do? So I had to stop everything and replace the film as soon as possible. Thankfully, Uniformation is one of the few printer manufacturers that send you extra print film and a screen protector, just in case something like this happens and goes wrong. Once that was done, I was back to airbrushing the kit. The most therapeutic part of 3D printing, in my opinion, is the joy of painting. The layers you create, the tones, it's truly tranquil. Once I laid down my clear coats and gave them about an hour to dry using lacquer paints, I moved on to panel lining and hand painting. I firmly believe that hand painting is a useful skill in Gunpla that we should all strive to be very good at. Some areas are just too small to airbrush, or it's too much work to mask them off to airbrush. But if you're a decent hand painter, no one will ever know or be able to tell you didn't use an airbrush. By the way, most importantly, never forget to clean your brushes after every use. This way you can ensure that those hairbrushes last a very long time. The final assembly with my beloved dog Fluffy. This stage is also therapeutic for me because it's finally at the end, and the best part in my opinion of painting anything is seeing how it looks all together. I was also adding some LED lights to the mix. The design allowed for light piping, so I took full advantage of that. But one LED wasn't enough, so I made it two. LEDs from Evan's Design Studio, by the way. You know what's funny is I don't realize how boring this is until I watched the video back and realized Fluffy was passing out while sitting on my lap. I should have known. It was just too peaceful for the poor pup. I would have recorded more footage, but I was down to one memory card. But here it is in all of its glory, the RX92V. Nu Gundam. I was worried that the fast paint job and the decal work wouldn't do the build justice, but No Star's design really captures that Verkov feel that many of us have grown to know and love. If I could do this again, or if I do this again, I'm probably going to add smaller LEDs behind the eyes so they really pop more. So maybe I needed 4 LEDs rather than 2. Oh well, what can you do? I'd like to thank Uniformation for sending me the GK3 Pro for testing and build purposes. If you're interested in the Uniformation GK3 or any of the multitude of accessories or resins offered by Uniformation, there are plenty of links in the description to keep you covered on almost anything. And as the man who gave me my first airbrush said, do great things.